So at the end of this training, you're gonna have that knowledge, right? So even if you've never built websites before, you're just getting started. You said, Matthew, I don't know this stuff. I'm gonna help you. So the first thing that we want to do now is we want to download it, which I've already downloaded it. So once you've downloaded it, now the next thing that you want to do is you want to go to your web hosting. Okay, let's go back here. Let's go to your server. So you want to have a web hosting server. Now this is something that there are a lot of different web hosting companies out there. Okay, so once you've already created an account with a web hosting company, you can be able to utilize this right here, and you can be able to set up. So this is like a demo account that I set up just to show you guys how this works. So once you've already set up a web hosting and you have what's called a control panel, this is where all the files on your website are going to be stored. All the files are located. So your database, the PHPMyAdmin. I'm not going to go into a lot of technical details in terms of the PHPMyAdmin because that can get a little too techy. So once you've set everything, your hosting company, they're going to give you a login to your cPanel. This is where you get something that looks like this. Or if you don't have a cPanel that looks like this, as long as you have something that looks close to something like this. If you have something that looks close to something like this, then you want to be able to utilize that same dashboard. The idea is that you want to get access to this same thing. So now that we've done that, let's go over to where it says File Manager. So once you're in your cPanel, you want to go over to File Manager. So let's click on the File Manager. This is where all the files on your website are being stored. So it's important that you're very careful as to who you give access to this information, because if someone get access to this, they can delete all the content on your website, even your backups, unless you have external backups somewhere. So once you get there, you're going to see that you have a structure that looks something like this. You want to go to where it says public_HTML. This is the public section where all the files that people see on the front end, this is where they go. Again, I've just set up multiple demos here just to show you. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to create a folder. Now if this is going to be, if you want to install Joomla on the root on your root domain, then you don't have to do this step. Then you just do the next step I'm going to show you. But because I already have a website, other test websites that I'm working on as the root of this website, I'm going to create a subfolder, right? So what you want to do is you want to go right here and click on folder, and in this folder you want to create, I'm just going to call this Joom. You can call it whatever you want to. So I'm going to call this Joom Shaper, right? Or matter of fact, I'll just call it Helix 2. Now I've created this folder. I'm going to click on create new. This is going to add that folder to your public section of the website. So you're going to get a link for this in a minute. Okay, so we've done that. Now let's locate where we created. So we created this Helix 2. So let's just get and double click on this. So this is where we're going to install the Helix package that we just created. Okay, we downloaded. So if you haven't already downloaded it, matter of fact, let's just go here. If you haven't already done so, you can just go to download free and then click download, and then just click on download the Joomla 4, and then you just go to Helix Ultimate. So now that's been downloaded. I downloaded this before, but I believe it's another computer. So let's go back now to the cPanel, and I want to show you an easy way for you to install Joomla on your website. Now typically, in order for you to install it, you have to use what's called a file transfer protocol, FTP, and you'd upload the files to your FTP, and the file is going to get processed on there. And when it gets processed on there, then you can be able to install it. So in this process, I want to show you an even faster way for you to install Joomla. So let's go back now to the back end here. Okay, so we're going to go back to the back end here, and we're going to, in the directory or the folder that we created, we're going to go to upload. So we're going to upload Joomla on here. So click on select, and then you want to locate wherever you've installed Joomla at. So I'm going to find this right here. Now this is right here. So you want to install the zip package. You don't want to uninstall it. Okay, again, you don't want to uninstall this, the package that you downloaded. So you don't want to unzip it. I'm sorry, unzip. So from there, let's go back here now. Let's click, and you want to click to reload. So once you click reload, it's showing you that it's been uploaded successfully. And then from here, you want to do what's called extract. So you right click and then you click to extract. So this is going to extract the files in this folder here. So click extract files, and you just give it a few seconds or so. It shouldn't take long. Now typically with an FTP, this is going to take, it's a longer process. Now it's showing you here that this are all the files that has been installed here. So this is where you extract it. Now the FTP, this can take, let's say, a few minutes. So close. So now that you've done so, the next thing is, let's go back to your control panel. We want to create a database. We're going to create a database for this. So under the search, you can put in database, and then you just type in, you go to my SQL databases. We want to create a database, so this is where all the files are going to be stored in your database. So from here, I'm going to call this Helix 2, and then create. You can name your database whatever you want it to be. I'm just naming it Helix 2, but you don't have to name it that. So I've created it, and let's go back now. Now we want to create a new user. So let's go back here, and we are going to create a user. So you can call it, I'm going to call it the same thing. You can name your database and your user something different, but for the sake of this, I'm going to call it the same thing. So I'm going to put in my password. Make sure you put in a password that is pretty strong, and then you can click on create user. So now you've successfully created the user for this. Okay, another thing is you want to copy it down here. Since I'm using the same database name and username, you want to copy this, and you want to store like on a clipboard or something, because you're going to need this later on in order for you to connect your site to it. So once you've done that, let's go back now here. Okay, let's go over here. It says modify databases. So click here. It's going to give you a drop down of all the files, the databases that you have. So we want to locate the Helix 2, and you want to go to, go down to, yeah, right, okay, this is the right part. I'm sorry. You go to add user to database. So you click on this here, and then you go to Helix 2, or whatever name that you use to create that, and then the database name, whatever database name you use. In our case, we used Helix 2 for both of these. So click add, and then when you says add again, it's going to show you the user right here, and it's going to show you the database. Again, you want to make sure you copy this. If you have a different user in a different database, copy both of those, because you're going to need that for the next step. And then from you go to all privileges. You click that. It's going to check all those, and you click on make changes. So now there's been successfully given privileges to everything there. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to go to your website. Okay, so in my case, I installed Joomla on a subfolder called Helix 2. So I'm going to go to my domain name, and then I'm going to go to Helix 2. Now if I install this on the primary folder, then I wouldn't have to do that. I would just go to the name of that website. When you do that, you get this message. It's asking you to install it. So I'm just going to call this Helix 2 Framework, or Helix 2 Helix Ultimate. You can call it whatever you want. And then next, you want to set up your login. Now, I'm not going to go over the multilingual, but I mentioned this in a previous video. With the multilingual, you can choose to install Joomla in any one of these languages. That is one of the beautiful things about it, is that you can choose your native language to build Joomla in, but I'm not going to cover that for this lesson. And it's showing you right here the current version of Joomla, which is 4.2, and then you can click on set up login data. And then this is where you get to create the username and the password that you want to log in. So I'm just going to call this one Helix 2. and I'm going to call it the same thing again, Helix 2. This is the name that's going to be visible, and you can set up a password. Now you notice I put a password, but it's telling me that the password is not strong enough. It doesn't meet the requirement. So you want to put a password that meets the requirement for this. I'm going to delete this, and now put in a password that meets that requirement. And then you can put in an email address. Email. You can always change this later on, but for the sake of this, I'm just putting this here right now. So once you've successfully put in your site name, your username, this is what you're going to need to log in. So it's important that you remember this information. Just don't put anything. So once you've put that information there and it's been accepted, you want to click on Set Up Database Connection. Now you go to this page. From here, when you click on this drop down, you have several options. You want to leave it at the MySQLi. You don't want to change that. And then make sure this is localhost. If it doesn't say localhost, then you can just type in localhost. And then either a username you create or just provide by. So this is the username that you're going to enter. The ones that I copied before. And then enter a password. So this is going to be a password for the database. It can be the same one you created before, or it can be something else. And then now it's going to ask you for the database name, which is the same one as this, the Helix 2, which we'll create. Now for this prefix, you can just leave that blank. Don't do anything else on there, and you should be good to go. So once you put in your password, and then you put in the password you used when you were creating the database. Remember that password, okay? So now click on Install Joomla. And just give it a moment. It's just going to, do its thing, and kind of connecting everything on the back end. Is getting set up, the engine is moving. So now we get this message: congratulations, your Joomla site is ready. So now you're ready to go. Now if you want to install additional languages, you can click here, okay? But I'm not doing additional languages right now. So you have two options. You can open the site, or you can open the administrator. Now if you can choose which one here, but I'm just going to click on open the admin, okay? Just go to open administrator. So I'm going to put in here Helix 2, which is the login I created. So now we've successfully logged in. Now you get this PHP message here. For now, don't worry about this for now, because that'd be another step to show you how to fix this, but it's okay for now. So it's just telling you that the updates is available. You go through, this is your dashboard. Once you get here, this is the admin, where you're going to see the like a benchmark of all the tools that you have access to on the back end. You have the users, the articles, the global configurations, which I'm not going to go over that, and the system. Anytime that you have updates, you can see the updates here. You can always click to see what needs to be updated. It is going to show your recent articles, your popular articles, was popular, and you can also add more dashboard on here, on this part.